Is Shopify the right fit for your e-commerce store? Today I'm breaking down whether that's a great fit for you and why you may or may not like it. As a bonus, for those of you who stay till the end of this video, I'm gonna give you some extra sales tips on how to increase your sales no matter what platform you choose to go with. Shopify, to be honest, is my favorite platform to sell digital download products. That's because they make it so easy. But there's one huge caveat. If you are just starting out, Shopify actually isn't what I would recommend for you. In that case, I think you should start with Squarespace. That's where I started, and the learning curve just was so much easier. But if you've been selling for a little while, here's why I think Shopify is the best fit going forward for you. The best thing about Shopify is for someone who's not very techie like me, it doesn't break. Like in the 4 years, is it 4? We've been using it since October 2017, so that's 4 years. Holy cow, I've been on Shopify for 4 years. In that time, Shopify has not once ever broken for us. I think once it went down for like 6 hours, and even then, I don't think my shop was one of the ones that were affected. Shopify is incredibly reliable, and like I said, it's impossible to break. One thing that might have been a con for other people, but I actually think is a huge pro, is they have an optimized checkout page that they don't let you change. So the cart looks the same no matter what. Maybe you've noticed this as you go through and you online shop. If you're checking out from a Shopify store, you can always tell it's a Shopify store, usually because the checkout page always looks the same, and now they have their shop pay feature, so it usually will just like text you into the system, so you don't even have to add any details. This is also a huge win for us Shopify store owners, because it means if someone has checked out from a different Shopify store before, their information is saved through Shop Pay, which is Shopify's payment processor by default. Of course, they have others, but that's their default one, and the information that's saved there can be easily transferred over to your site with just a little text and a code that gets sent to the purchaser. That way they don't have to remember any details like their address or their billing information. It's all pre-filled for them. The other reason we switched from Squarespace to Shopify was because of Shopify's analytics. I will say that since October 2017, when I switched to Shopify, Squarespace has really improved their analytics and their performance, their page loading time, and everything else about their commerce platform. However, I still would have switched to Shopify at some point just because the analytics there are so good. The other reason why Shopify is superior to Squarespace, if you can stomach the learning curve, is because Shopify has really done a great job at fostering their own ecosystem. That means that there are a lot of companies that survive just off of creating apps that are helpful for us as Shopify store owners. Other platforms like Wix or Squarespace or WooCommerce just don't have that same ecosystem. So it's really hard for you guys to do some of the same things that we do on Shopify. Because for me, if I want to add something that really increases our conversion rates, like some kind of behavioral pop-up that shows what other people are doing or shopping or buying from my site, like a proof or a FOMO, if I want to add something like that, it takes me 30 seconds to go into the Shopify App Store, add it to my shop, and approve the monthly recurring charge. On other platforms, you have to install code and you have to copy and paste, and then if you forget where that goes or if the code changes, you have to go back because now it's broken. So that's why Shopify really is the leader in this area as far as apps and bonuses and little extra features that you can add to your site without being techie. I'm one of the least techie people, so the Shopify learning curve was pretty big for me. But I will say it was really nice because I didn't have to learn how to code or anything like that. If you do know how to develop and code, you can go even further with any kind of customization on the site because you will know how to completely change it. This is just a little harder on Squarespace and some of the other platforms because they don't necessarily allow you to code, at least not how I understand coding, which again, I'm not very techie, so sorry tech people if I'm messing this up, but they make it really difficult for you to change things, and that's also on purpose because they are more of a beginner platform, and so they don't want you to accidentally break your site. So the good news here is that both Squarespace and Shopify make it really hard for you to accidentally break your site. At the time I'm recording this, Shopify and Squarespace are really comparable as far as pricing goes. Just to get the basic Squarespace commerce site, which is what you're gonna need in order to have products available on your site, it's $26 a month, and Shopify is $29 a month. As you begin to move up the tiers, however, things start to change pretty dramatically. Squarespace's highest tier for their commerce plans is $40 a month versus Shopify, which has either a $69 or $299. That's almost $300 shop plan available per month. $40 to basically $80 is a pretty big leap, so those are no longer really comparable price-wise, but I don't like to look at it comparing apples to apples. I like to look at it comparing what you're actually getting for the value. And so there's a pretty big jump up in terms of what you're getting on each of these platforms respectively, but I still think Shopify is the clear winner here, even though it's $79 a month versus $40, because you're really getting into all the features you would possibly need to run a seven-figure store. For example, we have been on Shopify's $79 a month plan since we got started with Shopify 4 years ago. It's run beautifully for us, and we've really enjoyed being there, and it's given us all the features that we need and then some. Versus we left Squarespace's $40 a month plan because at the time it just didn't have anything that we needed in order to grow. It had some of the analytics, some of the features we were looking for, but again, it was lacking that ecosystem that Shopify has built through their app store. I really have no idea who would use a $299 a month plan with Shopify. I guess if you have like multiple stores or something and you're managing them, but honestly, that's just a recipe for disaster anyway, because like starting a second business is a lot of work. So just focus on what's working for you, grow that store, and continue to sell more of what's working there in order to be successful rather than trying to start two kind of mediocre half-assed stores. This $299 option is probably just to price anchor that $79 option and make it look really appealing. I'm not going to go into the secret tiers of Shopify, which we know as Shopify Plus. Those start at $2,000 a month, and those are really for multiple seven-figure earning shops. It's beyond the scope of this video to get into that. Honestly, if you're there, you're probably working with some sort of Shopify expert at that point, and you're not watching this video. We still have not moved to Shopify Plus. We've considered it, but honestly, this $79 a month can't really be beat. It is the best thing that we've found out there in all of our years of experience in running and growing a multiple six-figure shop that has grossed over 1.4 million total. Actually, probably more than that because I'm not counting our Squarespace sales, which we were there for the first 2 years. So another thing I've really loved about Shopify's plans is that I pay, I think 2 or 3 years at a time. I just know I'm gonna be there. So I go ahead and prepay for all of that time with them instead of having that monthly charge constantly hit my bank account. And that's really nice because I only have to worry about that every now and then. And I think I have timed it at this point to be right after one of our big semi-annual or Black Friday sales when we have a lot of extra cash on hand. So it just automatically pulls from that every few years and I don't have to think about it. So that's a really nice little bonus if that's your jam as far as finances go. When you combine the analytics, the ease of use, the pricing, the app store, the ecosystem, and the continuous updates that Shopify is making, because that's all that they do is shops. They don't have other blogs or websites that they have to cater to. When you combine all of that, Shopify is just clearly the winner here. And the only exception to this would be for those of you who are literally beginners, you've never had a website before, and you don't want to deal with the slightly steeper learning curve of Shopify versus Squarespace. The opportunity for growth is just exponential. Even billion-dollar brands like Kylie Jenner use storefronts on Shopify because you really can grow that big with Shopify. So if you want to make the most sales possible, I think Shopify is definitely the way to go just because you can have better analytics. And when you have better data from that analytics, you can understand where your customers are coming from, what they're buying. Shopify has really smart, intuitive analytics too. So it will automatically tell me that customers that bought this product also bought that one. Like there's so many cool features where it's just telling me exactly what to do, what to sell, and what to focus on in my marketing based on what's selling. Other storefronts like Wix or WooCommerce, I'm not even gonna get into those. They're so clunky, they break all the time. The clients that I've had who have tried to use those in the past have had nothing but problems. I try to stay far, far away from them. That's why I didn't even mention them here in this video. Basically, if you wanna sell the most amount possible and have something that scales with you, Shopify is the way to go. By the way, I wish I had an affiliate link link to Shopify. This is all free. I just love Shopify. My store actually was featured on their blog several times, so that was super fun. It's just a great community, and if this sounds like a good fit for you, I can't wait to see you inside their community and their events. It's really going to be a good time. I can't wait for you to sell all your digital products and just make that living online that you've been dreaming of. If you're not sure what to sell just yet, we have a video for you. It just popped up on your screen. So tap that and keep learning with us to figure out what you should be selling. We're gonna go through a list of what's actually selling today and what you can apply in your own life and business. Next week is gonna be a little more of a personal video, so I will see you there. Bye everyone.